Hello and welcome to the LCIA LSE Pre-Moot. We are having this year our first ever virtual pre-moot in preparation of the Vis Moot in Vienna, which is going to be virtual as well. So we are delighted to have this opportunity for providing once more, not in London, but at least from London, a platform for the teams and arbitrators to meet and to prepare for this unique event. The fact that we have a virtual pre-moot this year brings also an incredible opportunity. We have been able to move to a capacity of 16 instead of 12 participants, teams. And of course, we can dwell on an entire global pool of international arbitrators who may not be able to be in London, but are, if you want so, in London nevertheless. We have 144 really outstanding arbitrators, and this is exactly the strength of this pre-moot. The alliance between LSE and LCIA brings together highly talented young lawyers practicing for this moot and are all aspiring arbitration lawyers, together with experienced and really imbued arbitrators who have a practice that actually can bring about the real difference for this pre-moot. I will now pass over to Jackie for her introduction words. So over to you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jan. I would like to add a few words of welcome on behalf of the LCIA and a big thank you to all participants, all arbitrators, and the LSE and LCIA staff who have made this event possible. This is the 6th LSE-LCIA Pre-Moot, and it is fantastic to see how the community has embraced this initiative. When Jan and I discussed the possibility of a pre-moot in London, building on the more modest LSE pre-moot that preceded it, we realized that London, the global hub of international arbitration, with its pool of renowned and experienced arbitrators, was an obvious venue for a pre-moot. With the LCA's database and LSE's academic connections, we realized we could build a truly exceptional cooperation. And as you heard, this is the first ever virtual London pre-moot. Last year's pre-moot was the last in-person event we were able to organize. There was already a sense of what was to come, even though at that point in time, few, if anyone, anticipated the duration of the lockdown and the scope of the limitations we are still facing. Last year was a special year because the LCIA rules were used for the Vis Moot. The Vis Moot was conducted virtually last year and it was a great success. Since then, virtual arbitrations or elements of virtual proceedings have become mainstream. That is not to say that we anticipate or wish for all arbitrations to take place remotely, but it has been a steep learning curve, and even when limitations are lifted, some of the lessons will stay with us. The 2020 LCIA rules incorporate some of the lessons we have learned in the last year. In that sense, it's a good thing that this moot is taking place virtually, because that is a reflection of arbitration in the real world. Parties, arbitrators, and institutions have been forced to rethink habits and practices, technical skills, and case management tools. Some arbitrators of all generations and backgrounds thrive, others less so. One of the consequences of the current virtual environment is that certain meetings and events are impossible and others thrive. This pre-moot is an illustration of the latter category. The quality of arbitrators who have signed up for this weekend is unprecedented. We see this as an illustration of one of the silver linings of the pandemic. The virtual nature of this gathering makes it an inclusive and inspiring way of gathering experienced and aspiring arbitrators, and we wish you a fun and productive weekend. Over to you, Jan.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackie, for that overview. I will just close this session off by giving you a little taster of what our pre-moot actually looks like. So we have, as I already mentioned, 16 teams. There's going to be a number of parallel rounds going on where basically every team gets to meet 3 other teams, and they're going to be earning points on the pleading as in the real pre-moot, and the arbitrators will rate them. And at the end, we will have also a real outcome in the sense of getting direct feedback on how the performance of each pleader, but also of the teams altogether was. This, of course, helps them quite a bit to prepare for the big event in Vienna and to get a better sense of where they're standing, especially because often arbitrators very kindly accept to give direct feedback to each of the pleaders in terms of style, in terms of content, and in terms of interaction with the tribunal, which is highly appreciated by the arbitrators. So a great learning opportunity. And again, from LSE, we're very grateful for the practitioners giving up the time for this preparation of the new generation of arbitrators and arbitration practitioners. Very well. With that, I would just like you to remind you that if people want to post on social media, please use the hashtag LSE-LCIA Pre-Moot, and that way it reaches all those who are interested in the subject. With that, I wish everyone a great competition. Thank you for participating, and wish we could all be together to have a drink afterwards, but that will happen hopefully next year. Thank you and goodbye.